Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and welcome to the Karey Carbaugh podcast, episode number 27. Sorry about that. I was having some technical difficulties, and I thought I was live before, and I was not. So I apologize that I'm a little bit late getting started here. I had gone through a chunk of this and then realized that I was not live, so then I had to figure out what was going on. I think we're live now. Let me double check here and see if I can tell if we're on. But I think we are. Yes, it looks like we are live. So, welcome. And for my Spanish-speaking friends, bienvenidos a el Karey Carbaugh podcast, número 27. Y bienvenido. Bienvenidos, damas y caballeros, chicos y chicas, niños de todas edades. Sorry about that. I was trying to do my welcome completely in Spanish, and I'm a little disheveled tonight by having some difficulties. So, here we are. Number 27. Hard to believe. These numbers just keep ticking by. And now it looks like we are not live again. Nope, we are. Okay. I apologize. I'm not sure what's going on tonight. Something is testing me. And I'm not sure I'm passing. But hopefully we will stay live here and can finish this. So I do apologize that I am running a little bit late tonight. But let's jump right in and let's see if we can make this happen. This is, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Karey Carbaugh, and this is the Karey Carbaugh podcast. I am a person with low vision, and tonight's episode is going to be Mythbusters about people with vision impairments. And this is the part 2 edition of this. I did a part 1 a month or so ago, and had some pretty good feedback from that, and so I thought I would do a part 2. I'm not sure how many of these we will do, but hopefully we can get through tonight's, and I do have about 11 myths that I'm going to debunk tonight. I was trying to get it down to 10, and I couldn't quite combine them any further. So here we are. We'll go through 11 of them tonight. Some of these, there's a little bit of overlap with what I did before, but slightly different myths. The first round of myths that I did, I focused on some more technical things and did some research and got some statistics. Tonight is going to be more of the day-to-day things that people tend to think about people with vision disabilities that may not be true. So let's dive right in here. And if you're getting value, I would ask that you would put a V or the word value in the comments. Let me know if you're watching this live with the word live or an L, or if you're watching on the replay with the R or the replay. And as always, like if you do. Click the like button if you like these videos. And I hope you're getting value from this. It's always nice to know who's tuning in. And I'm not sure, especially with the technical difficulties and getting a little bit of a late start, I don't think I'll try to respond to comments live. But I will definitely come on afterward and go through those and respond to those. So welcome in. And let's dive right into our Mythbusters here. I will be looking at my phone a little more tonight than usual. So if I'm looking down, looking off to the side, that's why I'm actually reading some of my notes on my phone, because I don't want to miss any of the 11 that I came up with here. And if you have any other myths that I don't cover here, let me know that, because that would help if I do a part 3 of these Mythbusters. So number 1, people with low vision or vision impairment, blindness, if you want to just use the generic term. The first myth is that people with low vision have lower intelligence than someone without low vision. This might seem obvious, but this is a myth. People with low vision do not have lower intelligence than the normal, whatever normal is, a person without low vision. Um, People with vision disabilities, some may have lower intelligence than the average IQ. Some may also have other disabilities that contribute into that. But as a general rule, people with low vision do not have lower intelligence than the average person. We just have a disability. And oftentimes, though, people look at us, and maybe because we do things a little bit differently, they may see an odd behavior or see us looking close at our phone or something like that and think that we have a lower IQ than the average person, but we do not. And like I say, for some people that may seem pretty obvious, but I actually had a friend of mine bring this myth to my attention, and it wasn't one that I had really thought that much about. So that's number one. Myth number two is that people with a vision disability, low vision or blind, have a hard time hearing. We often are thought of as having better hearing than normal or than the average person. As I discussed in our last Mythbusters, I think, or in one of the previous episodes, people with low vision don't necessarily have better hearing, but we also don't have poor hearing unless we are also hard of hearing or deaf in addition to the vision impairment. Again, this may seem obvious, but I've seen a lot of people who will talk loudly to a person with low vision or a vision disability, and this simply is not needed. We don't have harder hearing unless, like I say, we have another disability that contributes to that. Some of these may seem obvious, but most of them come from experiences that either myself, that I have had, or that other people that I know have had. So they're not entirely obvious to everyone. Myth number three is that people with low vision or a vision disability or blind are more fragile than other people. This is another one that might seem obvious, but I've had people come up to me and, oh, no, you can't do that because you might get hurt, or you might trip, or you might fall down and hurt yourself. They almost sometimes will talk to us like we're a child. And we simply, again, we don't have lower intelligence. We are not hard of hearing. We are not more fragile than other people. Sure, we may trip and we may get hurt, and it's okay to, as a person without a vision impairment, to alert us to something that might be in our way or that we might not think about. But at the end of the day, it is our choice and our decision, and we'll go into this a little bit more in one of the future myths, but we are not more fragile. Yes, we might trip. We might get injured. We're not going to break. We're not Humpty Dumpty. If we fall and get injured, we're just like any, I hate to keep using the word normal, but we're like any normal person, any person without a vision disability who might fall and get injured. And so we shouldn't be treated as someone who is more fragile, who has lower intelligence. Talk to us like you would anyone else. Myth number 4 is that we are not capable, people with low vision or a vision disability or blindness are not capable of making our own decisions. This one tags on to the last one that we just covered. But believe it or not, I have seen, I'm not sure I've seen it recently. I know friends who've experienced this too, where if we go, it happens a lot in a restaurant. If we go into a restaurant with someone who is sighted, the waiter or the waitress might turn to the person who's sighted and say, well, what would he like? Or what would she like to order? You can talk directly to us. We are capable of making our own decisions. And if you're a sighted person who encounters this, let the waiter or the waitress know that you can talk directly to the person with low vision or blindness. And we can make our own decisions. We don't have to have a person that's with us to make our decisions for us. Once again, I know a lot of these seem obvious, but most of them come from experiences. Myth number 5 is that people with low vision or vision disability are that we are contagious. We're not contagious in most cases. It's not a disease. It may be a disease that caused the condition, but blindness or low vision is not in and of itself a disease. You don't have to avoid us. You're not going to catch it by being around us. Again, this sounds obvious, but believe it or not, we've experienced this kind of thing in our daily life. Let me pause a moment here. We're about halfway through these, and ask if you're getting value from these, if you're resonating with any of these. Let me know that in the comments. And again, if you're watching live or on the replay, let me know that in the comments as well. Let's jump into myth number 6, is that people who are blind or have low vision are lazy. This is another one that, believe it or not, it comes up a lot. Sometimes it may take us, this comes up a lot in the work situation, sometimes it may take us longer to get something done because we read slower, because depending on the condition, it may take us longer to listen to what needs to be read to us because we can't listen quite as quickly as a sighted person can scan or skim what they're reading. The reality in our life is that it just takes longer to do just about everything we do. Transportation takes longer, so it may take us longer to get somewhere. We may end up being late through no fault of our own. If we miss a bus connection, if the bus is running late, if the bus breaks down, if our public transportation fails to show up, we may be late to a meeting. It's not because we're lazy. Certainly there are blind people who are lazy, just like there are sighted people who are lazy. But as a general rule, blind people are not more lazy than people who are not blind or vision impaired. We have a lot more to deal with. We rely on a lot more external factors, a lot more people for transportation. And as I say, it takes us longer to do just about everything we do in life. And so that's why, to some people, I've actually heard this, to some people we might appear like we are lazy. Myth number 7 is that a person with low vision or blindness can't cook or clean. This is another fairly common one. Especially with technology today, it is certainly possible for a person who's totally blind or a person with low vision to cook with assistive aids. There are thermometers that can be stuck in pots or in something in the oven that will give us audible clues of the temperature. There are protective oven mitts that we can use to get things in and out of the oven. There are microwaves that talk. There's a lot of technology that can be used to assist with cooking. And with cleaning, I combined these two together partly because I was trying to get down to 10 myths. With regard to cleaning, there are techniques that can be used even though we may not see a stain. We can use techniques to clean an area with a cleaner that is likely going to clean the stain. Now, If a sighted person notices that we haven't gotten a stain out of an article of clothing, for example, it's perfectly acceptable, perfectly okay to point that out to us so that we know. Because we may have tried to clean the article, we may have thought we got it clean. And it may be clean, but there may still be a stain that didn't get removed. And so it's okay to point that sort of thing out to us. But as a general rule, we can cook, we can clean. We may choose not to. I don't do a lot of cooking myself, not because I can't, but because it's not particularly something that I enjoy. Because I live alone, it's not a lot of fun to cook for one person. I remember having a conversation with my mother at one point after my father was gone. And she made a conversation that she understood at that point why I ate out frequently. Because, as she discovered, it's not much fun to cook for yourself. It's not as much fun to cook for yourself as it is to cook for other people. So there again, it's not because we can't cook due to our vision disability. Some of us may choose not to, either because it's easier, because it's not a lot of fun to cook, it's not our thing. A lot of sighted people choose to go out to eat more than some other people might. And so there again, we can cook, we can clean. It's just something we may choose not to. We may choose to hire someone else to clean because it's easier than dealing with the adaptive aids. That way we know for sure that we are getting stains out of our clothing, that sort of thing. But we can clean. There's technology out there to help us. I think I've beat that one enough. Myth number, which one are we on? 8, is that people with low vision or blindness can't manage their finances. There again, we are capable. We are able-bodied. We may have a disability, but the rest of our body is very able. Our mind is able, unless there's another disability involved. Many people with low vision have other disabilities involved, and so there may be some people who can't manage their finances, but most of us can. Most of us, as I discussed in my last Mythbusters, most of us can live alone. We can clean, we can cook, we can manage our finances. Again, we may choose not to. We may choose to hire a financial manager, an accountant to do our taxes. I generally have an accountant to do my taxes, partly because I have rental property and other things that complicate my taxes, and it's just easier for me to let someone who's a professional deal with all that. Because there again, it takes me longer to read. I remember one time I did try to do my taxes, and it was actually before I had rental property. It took me pretty much every free moment that I had every weekend for about a month to complete the tax forms, and that was when I was just doing the short form. Granted, it was quite a while back. It was when I was living in New York, and you had to look up a lot of your tax stuff in books, and it wasn't online. You didn't have TurboTax or other programs that you could use to plug numbers in and have it do your taxes. You had to actually do a lot of the research. And so that took much, much longer for me as a person with low vision. There again, it's not because I couldn't manage my finances. It goes back to the amount of time that it takes us to do pretty much everything we do. And so we'll jump into myth number 9, is that people with low vision or blindness can't take care of themselves. I sort of alluded to that a minute ago. We can take care of ourselves. We are capable. We're capable of making our own decisions. We're capable, as I discussed in the last Mythbusters, of living alone. We're capable of taking care of our personal hygiene. There may need to be some adaptations made for certain things like cooking and cleaning, or depending on the home we live in, maybe some adaptations need to be made to the home to make it accessible. But as a general rule, we are very capable, we are quite capable of taking care of ourselves. We can make our own decisions. This sort of ties a lot of these that I've covered up to this point together. Um, we are capable, able-bodied, able-minded people, as a general rule, able to take care of ourselves. Um, and certainly it's fine as a sighted person, as a person who's with a person who's blind or visually impaired, to ask them if they need help with certain things. But at the end of the day, it's our decision, just like anyone else. You might see a woman who doesn't look like she can take care of herself, or a man who doesn't look like he can take care of himself. You may ask if they need help. But at the end of the day, if that person says, no, thank you, I'm fine, you would normally just move on. The same would be true if you're encountering a person with low vision or a vision disability, or for that matter, any disability. If the person is capable and says that they're fine, that they can do it themselves, allow them, afford them that opportunity the same way you would anyone else. And I think that's the real message to a lot of these, is treat us the way you would anyone. Be our friend, be our companion, just like you would anyone else. And I believe, yes, I'm on myth number 10. Many people think that we need to look blind. And for that matter, what does that mean? What does it look like to, quote, look blind? Does that mean that we have to close our eyes or squint or look off into the distance like we're not looking directly at the person? What does it mean to look blind? I've met many people, and after they've known me for quite some time and they find out that I have low vision, that I have quite limited vision, they'll say, oh, I never knew. You don't look blind. Okay, what does that mean to look blind? Sure, there are certain, we call them blindisms or blind mannerisms, that some blind people have, where they don't look you in the eye. I try to look at the camera. I've been taught to look someone in the eye. I can't make eye contact. I don't have that level of vision to be able to follow someone's eyes with my eyes. If a person that I'm looking at were to look over this way, I might see their head turn, but I'm not going to notice if they just move their eyes and look off to another direction to be able to make eye contact. So yes, I suppose that would be one thing you could say a person who's blind looks blind because they can't make eye contact. I try to make eye contact as best as I can. That's one reason I think that some blind people, again, not all, some blind people will wear sunglasses so that it's not as noticeable if they're not making eye contact. For some people, they wear sunglasses because the light hurts their eyes. I think we went into that a little bit either in the last Mythbusters or in another prior video. We talked more about that. But is that what a person that looks blind looks like? They're a person that wears their sunglasses inside? Maybe. But not all blind people do that. So not all blind people or low vision people, quote unquote, look blind. And our final myth here, we're finally down to number 11, is that a person who is blind or has low vision are all alike. Many people think we're all alike. I just had someone else the other day say that they know a blind person who uses this technology, and it's the greatest thing for them. It's helped them be able to read the computer screen and read all kinds of things because it's the greatest technology that's come along since sliced bread. Well, that may be great for that person, but we're not all alike. A technology that works for someone or a technique that works for someone who's blind or has low vision is not necessarily going to work for everyone who's blind or has low vision. It's important for each one of us to find those techniques and those skills and those technologies that work for us with the assistance of people around us, to make our lives more complete and more functional. And it's perfectly fine if you're a person who doesn't have low vision, or a person maybe who does have low vision and knows somebody with low vision that's used a technique or a technology that you think is just great. Maybe for yourself, if you're a person with low vision. I appreciate knowing about that. In fact, there's a new technology that I've recently found out about that I just ordered today. I won't give too much of a spoiler alert, but we may be doing a podcast here in a few weeks about a new technology that seems to be helping people who are blind or have low vision. That doesn't necessarily mean that that technology is going to work for all blind people or people with low vision. I'm not sure if it's going to be all that great for me, but I'm going to give it a try. But that was my point with that last 11th myth, is that we are all different. It would be just like walking up to someone and saying, oh, I know this woman who does this to help her with cooking. That's great. And maybe the woman you're talking to can utilize that technology to help them, or that technique, but maybe they can't. Maybe that doesn't fit them the way it does the other person. You would allow that woman, or that man for that matter, to choose whether that technique is going to work for them, and not continue to say, well, but it works for my friend. You need to give it a try. Or you need to do this because it works for this other person. You're a person who's shorter, and I know this person who uses this tool, a reach tool, to reach tall shelves. Great. Okay, that may work for me. I'm also a person who's short, who's under tall. That may work for me, or it may not. So to point it out to someone is great, but to harp on it and insist that that's going to work for that person, maybe not. So that was kind of my point with that last one. You may know 10 blind people who do something a certain way. Maybe you know 10 blind people who read Braille. I don't happen to read Braille. I'm not completely blind, but I have low vision. Many low vision people read Braille. Many low vision people don't read large print. They choose to get all of their information by audio books, or audio listening to books, or their computer, or their phone. That's one thing I do get a lot is, well, you should use JAWS, because all blind people use JAWS, which is for those who don't know, JAWS is a screen reader technology that will verbally speak what's on the screen to you. I've started using JAWS, not to its full capability, because I also use screen magnification, but one of the tools that I use at work, I was having difficulty with the screen magnification not tracking properly. And when we took this to the company that developed the tool that we use, it's actually our student information system at the college where I work. So it's a system that I'm in pretty much all day long. Their response was, well, we're ADA compliant because we tested it with JAWS, so it works for blind and low vision people. That's a perfect example of, just because you've tested your product with one thing one tool, JAWS, a screen reader. That does not mean that your product is fully ADA or accessibility compliant. It may meet the letter of the law, and it may check off a box so that you don't get sued legally, but it doesn't necessarily meet the usability for all people with low vision, a vision disability, or people who are blind. It's very important to realize that we are individuals and we do things differently using different tools. I think you get the point there. This is all 11 that I was going to cover tonight. As I say, there's a few more that I may cover either as another myth buster, or I have a couple other ideas on how to go about covering some of these topics. If these are things that are of interest to you, if you could let me know that in the comments. Again, if you're getting value, if you're interested in this, if you'd like to see more, let me know that. If you think I've covered all that needs to be covered with 21 of these over the last Mythbuster 1 and Mythbuster 2, I can move on from this topic and never to revisit it again, or at least not for a while, until you're tired of something else and I bring this back up again. But let me know that in the comments. I'm saying that with all sincerity and all seriousness, but I also am keeping it a bit lighthearted here. Some of these podcasts get a little bit too serious for me. I'm more of a lighthearted person. I like to laugh. And so I'm going to try and bring some more humor into some of these. So let me know if you're sick and tired of these or are still getting value from them. I do appreciate that. I believe that's about all I had to cover tonight. Again, like this video if you do. Click the like button. Let me know in the comments. And if you'd like to be added to my email list, I am getting close here, I think, to starting to do some private events. I know I've got a few of you on my email list. You're probably wondering when I'm going to start harassing you with emails. Well, that's coming soon. So stay tuned. But if you'd like to be added to that email list, drop the word email in the comments or shoot me a direct message, preferably on Facebook or Instagram. Just my name, Karey Carbaugh. And I'll be happy to reach out to you privately so that you don't have to give your email address publicly. And I will blind copy everyone on the emails. No pun intended there by calling it blind copy with our current topic here. But I will blind copy you so that everybody does not see everybody else's email. We'll keep that private. So let me know that in the comments. And again, I appreciate you joining me. Sorry we got a little bit of a late start here. Looks like we've had several people that have joined me live. I will reach out to you and I'll comment, reply to your comments and respond to your comments here. As always, I haven't said this for a while because it seemed like I was becoming a broken record, but I really sincerely do appreciate your support of these podcasts, and I hope that there's something you're getting value from. If they're not, if you're sick and tired of seeing my bald head every week, let me know, because I can certainly take that too. Blind people have a sense of humor, and blind people, low vision people, have broad shoulders and can take a little bit of criticism here and there. So let me know. And with that, I will bid you a fond farewell, and I hope you're having a great evening. Make it a blessed evening or a blessed day for someone else, depending on when you're watching this. Have a blessed week. Do something positive for someone around you to bless them this week. And we will see you next week on the Karey Carbaugh podcast, unless I pop up in the meantime on a spontaneous video. So for now, good night, good afternoon, good morning, depending on when you're watching this, and we will talk soon. Have a great one. Bye-bye.